Well, West Virginia basketball team drops to 0-4 in Big 12 play. What in the world happened in Morgantown against the Baylor Bears? What is going on, college hoops fans, West Virginia Mountaineer fans? This is Couz, my partner Mountaineer Paul could not be here for this one, so I'm here to present to you Hoops from the Hills. Thanks for tuning in to another show. West Virginia dropped the game to the Baylor Bears in Morgantown by the score of 83-78. Uh, Jalen Bridges returned to Morgantown. You know, you all know the story. Jalen Bridges transferred out of West Virginia last year, a West Virginia native, grew up in Fairmont, just 30 minutes down the road from Morgantown. Transferred out to Baylor, said some pretty negative things about the program and the coaching staff on his way out the door. So West Virginia fans are not real big fans of Jalen Bridges, and they let him know that last night in the game. Some of the loudest boos I've ever heard for an opposing player last night from the Mountaineer Maniac student section. Some not so nice things, some f bombs dropped towards him. I heard him call him a traitor a few times. So, needless to say, the Mountaineer Maniacs were ruthless to Jalen Bridges last night. However, Jalen and his team, the Baylor Bears, got the best of the Mountaineers. Now, I've seen some fans on Twitter saying, "Well, Jalen didn't do very good and all this." He had a double double, guys. He had 10 points, 11 rebounds. That's not a bad game at all. So while I made a video saying that Jalen Bridges was soft and didn't have the Mountaineer mentality when he left, and I still believe that to an extent, I've got to give him credit where it's due. He got a double double last night, helped his team win. At the end of the day, the W is really what's most important. And he even trolled West Virginia after the game, uh, saying "Take me home." So on Twitter. So you know, hats off to Jalen Bridges. You and your team got the best of the Mountaineers last night. But what are my thoughts on the game overall? First of all, I'm going to pop the stats up on the screen for you real quick so we can take a look at those. We can look at them together, and then I want to talk to those stats and kind of what my thoughts are. When you look field goal percentage, West Virginia shot 38.3% from the floor, where Baylor shot 44.2% from the floor. 3-point percentage, West Virginia was 33.3 versus 39.1 for Baylor. And really, that I thought that was a huge difference in the game. West Virginia started the game out 0 of 10 from 3-point range, just could not find the bottom of the net. Free throw percentage, once again, West Virginia struggled from the line at times, especially near the end of the game when they really needed to knock shots down in a tight game. They were not able to do it. Baylor shot 77.8%, West Virginia 72.7%. That's not going to get it done in tight games in the Big 12 Conference, especially down the stretch. They seem to miss the shots at the most critical times in games. Just like the football team seemed to make penalties at the worst times, the basketball team seems to miss free throws at the worst times. Once again, they missed a lot of easy shots, a lot of shots around the rim, what Bob Huggins calls those two-footers. They continue to miss a lot of those, just not shooting the ball well at all. Rebounding, West Virginia actually got the better in that category, 34-32. Assists, it was 15-10 West Virginia. Steals, 5-1 in favor of Baylor. Blocks, 3-2 in favor of West Virginia. Total turnovers, West Virginia did a good job, held on to the basketball. Only 7 turnovers for the Mountaineers versus 10 for Baylor. 26-27 in fouls, so pretty close there. And Baylor led as much as 8 at one time, and West Virginia did lead at one point by as many as 5. Biggest factor in the game for Baylor, Keyonte George. I mean, that young man absolutely lit it up. This is why he showed why he's expected to be an NBA draft pick, first round draft pick, potentially even a lottery pick. I mean, when you take a look at his numbers, just amazing numbers last night. 10 of 18 shooting, 5 of 9 from 3-point range, 7 for 9 from the foul line, 32 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Just an absolute monster game for Keyonte George. Congratulations to that young man. He's a phenomenal player. West Virginia, I mean, he was making shots with hands in his face, making difficult fall away three-pointers. I mean, you name it, he was doing it last night. The kid just was on fire. And he was, I mean, he almost was unstoppable. He's one of the better players I've seen in quite a while. At least had one of the best nights I've seen in quite a while. Some other top players for Baylor. Jalen Bridges, I said, had a double-double with 10 and 11. Adam Flagler had 19 points. L.J. Cryer had 13 points. Flo Thamba, 5 points, 6 rebounds. So, you know, their starting 5 had a good night. Didn't get a whole lot of production from their bench, but they didn't really need it, man, because, like I said, Keyonte George and then the rest of his supporting cast really played good basketball. And then for the Mountaineers, their top guys, their leading scorer on the night, Toussaint with 20 points, really played really good basketball, shot 7 of 14 from the floor, 2 for 6 from 3, 4 for 8 from the free throw line. That 4 for 8 from the free throw line has to be better, though. A guard needs to be shooting better than 50% from the line, and he missed 2 big ones down the stretch that could have really kept the game close. But he did play well overall. I was happy with his performance overall. Did a really good job getting the ball to the basket, being aggressive. And Tre Mitchell, 14 points, 15 rebounds. I mean, Tre Mitchell has quietly become one of the top players in the Big 12 conference this year because he's, I don't know how this is several double doubles he's had on the season so far. But it's just been kind of overshadowed by the fact that West Virginia hasn't been able to get in the win column yet in the Big 12. Some other stats: Eric Stevenson had 10 points, another rough night shooting for him. He was 3 for 9 from the floor, 2 of 7 from the 3-point range. Just could not find the bottom of the net. He was 2 for 2 from the foul line. Once again, in foul trouble, ended up fouling out of another game. Kedrian Johnson also fouled out of the game. He had 10 points. Did shoot 8 from the free throw line, though, but was 1 of 7 from the floor. So Kedrian Johnson, a rough night shooting, did have 6 assists, so had a good night in that regard. But we got to keep in mind with Kedrian, he was coming off of concussion. So, got to give kudos to that young man for even being able to play in this game, and he played 30 minutes at that, so he played a lot of minutes. Emmett Matthews had 7 points to go along with 5 rebounds, shot 2 of 7 from the floor. And Jimmy Bell Jr. did not score in the game, only had 2 rebounds, and only was able to play 19 minutes due to foul trouble. And really and even when he was in the game, to be honest, was not as productive as I'd like to see him be. Muhammad Wagee had scored 4 points. Seth Wilson played a productive game off the bench, had 11 points on 4 of 7 shooting and 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. He was really the only 3-point shooter they had that was making any shots consistently. He made a really, really good acrobatic shot from the top of the key while the shot clock was running down at one time. I think the shot clock was running down. Anyway, it was a very, very tough shot he made with a guy right on him. Kind of had to adjust his shot in midair and was off balance and it still went in. But Seth Wilson, going forward, is he going to be the guy that's going to be able to step up and provide a spark for the Mountaineers off the bench, give them an extra score that they need, especially on nights when Eric Stevenson's not able to find the bottom of the net? Can Seth Wilson be that guy? I think the potential is there for him to do that. Can he do it consistently? We will see. And can he, improve on the defensive end? Looked like last night he was doing okay defensively. He's not going to set the world on fire, but he's such a good scorer that Bob Huggins has to utilize him because that's really what he needs right now in this lineup is somebody that can score the ball, especially from 3 consistently because Eric Stevenson, for whatever reason, since that whole debacle at Oklahoma State, just has not been the same. Let's hope he can come back. Obviously, they got bad news about Jose Perez. He's not going to be eligible this year. The appeal got denied, so he's not going to play this season. Very unfortunate circumstances. The NCAA, in my opinion, made a terrible decision, really impacting this young man's mental health even. He's talked about on Twitter how it's really impacting his life. And, the young man, I should say, just really wants to play basketball. They fired his coach 2 weeks before the season was supposed to start. What do they expect him to do? I think they should allow the young man to play. It's a terrible decision on the NCAA's part, in my opinion. Hashtag Free Jose. Tweeted out now on Twitter. Let's let the NCAA, University of Manhattan, may have played a role in him not getting approved as well. Let's let them know that we have Jose's back and we support this young man. Even though West Virginia is now 0-4 in Big 12 play, I did like what I saw from an effort standpoint. They played really, really hard. They looked like the team. They looked more like the team they had looked like during non-conference play before the Buffalo and Stony Brook games. They looked like that team again. They just ran into a team in Baylor that was not missing shots early on and a player that was playing really good. But the effort was there. I thought the enthusiasm was there. They looked like a good They did not look like a bad basketball team last night. In the previous few games, they really had looked like a basketball team that just wasn't very good, to be perfectly honest with you. They did not look like that last night. They looked better. They looked like a team that could compete in the Big 12. Now, they're in a really tough situation. They're 0-4 in the league. I feel like they need to win at least 8 games to get into the NCAA tournament. They have 14 games left. So they basically have to go 8-6 the rest of the way, in my opinion, to get into the NCAA tournament. Because almost every game they win in the Big 12 is going to be at least a quad 2 win. There'll have to be some quad 1 wins in there too, especially if they win on the road. But the most disappointing thing about this game was the fact it was a home game. They needed to hold serve at home. They weren't able to do that. They've now lost 2 home games and 2 road games in league. To add fuel to the fire as a fan, the whole Jalen Bridges thing, he's able to hold this over West Virginia fan base's head, troll us on Twitter, whatever. But, hey, he earned that right with his team because they won the game. He was able to fight through the boos, all the yelling and taunting from the fans, which I'm not saying they shouldn't have done. And I'm not a huge fan of them yelling out F bombs on national television in a game when there's kids and potentially elderly women and ladies there that don't like that kind of language. I think it's disrespectful, but it's college students. College students are going to do what college students do. But nonetheless, Jalen Bridges was able to fight through that. I have no issue with them talking trash to players, booing them, and that kind of thing because I think that's part of the home court advantage. But the "fu Jalen" chants are just I just don't like that. I don't think it's classy at all, and I think it's a bad look for us, to be honest with you. But that being said, congratulations to Baylor on a big win. Scotty B, the Baylor King, one of my loyal listeners, a big Baylor fan. Congratulations to you, man. I know that's your team. West Virginia Mountaineer fans, let's hang in there, man. Hopefully our team can get this thing together, go on a run here. And my friend Mountaineer Paul and I predicted that late in the year, West Virginia would start out slow, and then late in the year they would go on a bit of a run because it was going to take this team time to gel together because they had never played together before. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. So let's hope that can happen. I don't think this team will give up because they're loaded with veteran guys. So maybe they get it together, gel together, and start playing some really good basketball going forward and can really start playing their best basketball near the end of the season, still get a spot in that NCAA tournament, and hopefully even make a run in March. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Please subscribe to us here at Hoops from the Hills. We need to get up to 1,000 subscribers so we can start making a little bit of money on this thing. Paul and I put in a lot of work for you guys here and over on our football channels, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football and Couz's Corner. So please check us out there as well. But please like this video if you thought I did a good job and thought I earned it. Please subscribe if you think we've earned it. Please share it out with your college basketball loving friends, especially if they're Mountaineer fans. And last but not least, like I mentioned earlier, please let us know in the comments what you thought about this game and about the Mountaineer team going forward. With that being said, Mountaineer Nation, I really appreciate you tuning in to Hoops from the Hills, and I'm out.